Our journey begins in the 15th century. The name Marquez has origins in both France and Spain. In French, the surname derived from the old word marquise, a Norman name for nobility ranking. It was first found in Normandy, France. The Marquez family history shows a pre-Christian connection to the popular baptismal name Marcus. In medieval times, families living in France, Spain, and Italy adopted the name. The mountainous borders of Spain, where the Spanish version was first found, was Castile. A prestigious name, meaning nobleman or lord of the borderlands, was taken upon aristocrats as a nobility title and would later travel to the New World. French settlers came early to North America, following the trace and enthusiasm of the explorers with a dream of creating the New France. Many Spaniards saw the fur trade as an opportunity to be part of the movement and joined in with the rest of them. Both noble and commoner, 15,000 explorers left for what would later be known as Quebec, amongst them many of the Marquez families. As the new settlers in Canada began to explore more and more, it became evident that these families would need to keep moving and expand for future generations to grow past those unknown boundaries. It was considered a whole new world, filled with opportunities for each and every family. As explorers themselves and people who looked for a better future and development, like many others, the Marcus families began to travel towards new land. Events like the Industrial Revolution in 1769 were the base for further changes in their journeys and a widespread of population. One of the most important ones would come under the command of a conqueror. We now find ourselves in New Mexico after the new boundaries of the American states were declared. This land, surrounded by natives such as the Apache, Navajo, and Cheyenne, was now part of Juan de Oñate's journey. He was the son of a conquistador who made a fortune in silver. Oñate requested to be sent to New Mexico in order to conquer and rule in 1595. Also, as part of his purpose, his goal was to search for treasure, explore, and bring Christianity to local natives. After government approval, Oñate left for New Mexico in January 1598. Along with 400 settlers and soldiers, they began the journey. Among them were descendants of the main Marcus families. In July 1598, the expedition crossed back and forth through Rio Grande at El Paso. They began the construction of San Gabriel, New Mexico's first capital. After they realized that the land wasn't rich in silver, settlers began to see Mexico as a new prospect and wanted to return to stay. But Oñate didn't allow them to do so. In 1601, Oñate led an expedition to the Great Plains of America in the quest of the legendary silver Quivira. For this, he only took the soldiers with him. In his absence, many settlers began a new journey to Mexico and once again became newcomers for a different country. By the time Oñate realized what had happened and tried to track down the settlers that had arrived with him, they had all spread throughout as far as what is today known as Guatemala. By 1606, Oñate was removed from office and his title as New Mexico's governor was revoked. He was then exiled for acts of cruelty towards his people and false reporting. Following the tracks of the settlers who decided to make Mexico their new land of opportunity, we find ourselves in the state of Chihuahua. For several years, people from Chihuahua had connections to those living in the American states, settlers or natives. When Spaniards made their way into Mexico, they were received with arms wide open. Because of these connections, a new beginning started to form for all. For those in Chihuahua, it marked the start of a new age. What Oñate sought to find all those years, but could never find, was in that land: silver. During 1567, the silver mines at Santa Barbara were established in the territory of the native Conchos. However, it began to truly have an impact on both sides during the year 1631. A vast new silver strike was made in Parral, in what is now the southern part of Chihuahua. The strike led to a large influx of Spaniards and native laborers. As Chihuahua became a center of silver trade, a distress among the people arose because of the idea of who had control. From 1644 to 1652, there was tension between those who were once allies, and many of them chose to concentrate on agriculture rather than silver mines, which was what happened with my family. Great grandfather, Francisco Marquez, was a hard-working laborer born and raised in a little village called Peña Blanca in Chihuahua. His family was mostly involved in agriculture and harvest, along with livestock. He had but one child, my grandfather Manuel Marquez. He took the family business in his hands when my great grandfather became ill. He then married and had 6 children of his own. Even though he never finished high school, my grandfather was an extraordinary man. His intelligence was beyond the years he had studied. While keeping together what his father had achieved, he then made his own business, a chain of furniture stores around Chihuahua. Today, all of his kids are involved in either one of the businesses, which keep growing throughout the years. My mother, Guadalupe Marquez, has made her own furniture stores in 3 different cities. I am the first of my family to be studying in the United States and plan to keep the tradition in my own way.